Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of the girls, gays, and theys of the late 90s and early 2000s. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach. We are the sister filmmaking duo also known as Two Pink Pictures, and we have not stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the very often made-for-TV movies that first inspired our love for film, in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today, we are talking about 2006's She's the Man. Finally getting some Amanda Bynes action.
Yes, our first ever Amanda Bynes on the pod. Kind of unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Like 20 movies in, like more than that.
Ta-da! Sorry, Mom. I have a strict no ruffles policy. All I want to do is play soccer. School cut our team. Wait, what? We want to try out for the boys' team.
Girls aren't as fast as boys. Or as athletic.
It's a scientific fact.
You are so full of... This is not over.
You want me to turn you into a guy?
I'm going to Elyria. I'm going to make the boys' soccer team there. And then in 12 days, I'm going to beat the Cornwall boys' team. That's right.
Now, Viola's going undercover to prove that she's got game.
Okay, now Hakalugi. I'm so proud.
I wanna be your man.
In the dorm.
I am a dude.
There is something odd about that new boy.
What up?
Seriously, how old are you?
I skipped a couple grades.
It's all part of the high school experience.
Do I know you?
No.
You are so busted!
Amanda Bynes.
Excuse me, doofus.
And Amanda Bynes.
Mr. Hastings!
She's the man.
Oh, right.
So before we start into the facts, as we always do, Audrey, do you identify as a Amanda Bynes fan?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Do you not?
Well, it's not that I'm not a fan, but I just feel like I was never like incredibly invested in Amanda Bynes as a kid. I don't really know why, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I feel like I had a resurgence recently because I got CBS All Access. And they have the Amanda Show on there.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and like all that and the Amanda Show are both so deep in my memory that I can only remember them in the way that you remember like what your baby stroller looked like.
Yeah.
You don't actually remember it, but you have this like feeling about it. So I watched a few of those and it brought back so much, but it also just sent me down the rabbit hole of like Dan Schneider scary content.
Yeah.
And that's extremely valid. And also Amanda Bynes now is a whole other topic, but regardless of that, I definitely am a fan, and I get a very like authentic quality from her, and I feel like she really did love acting.
Yeah. I was surprised when I was going through her IMDb for this that the last movie credit she has is Easy A, which was in 2010.
Yeah.
Kind of unreal. But let's not get too deep into the gloom right off the top here. So let's start with the facts surrounding 2006's She's the Man. This movie premiered on March 17th, 2006, and was directed by Andy Fickman. Andy Fickman's most notable credits, as assessed by our incredibly strenuous rubric of things that 8-year-olds from the mid-2000s would remember, are...
You just said strenuous rubric?
It's a strenuous rubric by which we collect these credits. I was being sarcastic. It's not a strenuous rubric.
I know, it's just strenuous and rubric are great. That's just great.
Anyway, Andy Fickman directed Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Huge. Major.
Directed to the mall.
Yes. Directed a lot of Liv and Maddie, which is that the Disney Channel show with Dove Cameron on it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then he directed a bunch of Kevin Can Wait, once again with the Kevin James content. And then he also directed like a Kevin James documentary. He's directed a lot of things. I'm kind of minimizing here. Again, the rubric is strenuous. But he's like the Kevin James wrangler of choice. Remember how there was like the Hilary Duff wrangler of choice?
Yeah, it was that guy who he's been interviewed on a lot of podcasts recently.
There are 3 people listed as writers of the screenplay of She's the Man. The first one is, their name is spelled like Evan, but it's Ewan.
It's Ewan.
Every time that trips me up.
Why? What do you think it is?
Ewan. Every time.
Oh. Yeah, it's
but
like
I know
Evan,
it's like
literally.
It's like the guy who's like the more famous one. Ian McGregor. How do you say it? Ewan McGregor. That's the more famous one.
I think it might be a different spelling. This whole show is just us pretending that we know how to say names, but we don't.
I know, but you know what? His is the hardest one, or theirs is the hardest one.
Ewan.
Whatever.
It's like Ewan.
So they had story credit for this movie. They're also a producer, and they have a pretty limited IMDb history, but they casted the animals for Hotel for Dogs. So that's pretty significant. Then our other writers are Karen McCullough and Kirsten Smith. And these 2 women, I have discovered, are a powerhouse quote-unquote chick flick writing duo. I'm going to read this little blurb that was about them that I found online, because these are the women behind such classics as The House Bunny, Ella Enchanted, Legally Blonde, and 10 Things I Hate About You. They collaborated on all these screenplays, and like with most of those movies, it wasn't a situation where there was like 9 different writers. It was like they really put this stuff together. So anyway, the blurb that I found about them was this. It's written in kind of a condescending way, but like we shouldn't be surprised based off the movies that they wrote.
Is it an old article?
It's like, it was on like screenwriterprofiles.com or something. So this is it. Kirsten Kiwi Smith and Karen McCullough are the powerhouse duo behind some of the biggest chick flicks of the last 15 years. Several of their films, however, have transcended the diminutive term and established themselves as gender stereotype surpassing cultural phenomenons. True, you'd be hard-pressed to find a man who will admit that Legally Blonde is his favorite film, but you'd have an even harder time finding a guy who didn't secretly love every second of it. Smith and McCullough are the creative powers behind such hits as 10 Things I Hate About You and The Ugly Truth.
Okay, that's definitely written by a man.
Probably. Also, I don't know if I agree with what they said when they said you'd have an even harder time finding a guy who didn't secretly love every second of it.
They should like these claims are just off base, I think.
They're a bit off base, but you know, whatever. We have the context for the ladies now.
And if we're just talking about cis men, there's definitely a lot of cis men that love Legally Blonde.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't specify like sexuality. True. That's what I'm saying.
If you're watching the video version of the show, you can see I'm holding my chalice of iced coffee, and that really speaks to the state I'm currently in.
And
anyway,
my chalice of something else.
Of something special. Anyway, now that we've got those facts out of the way, Audrey, would you like to read us the plot synopsis of 2006's She's the Man?
Yes, of course. So here is the plot synopsis. When her brother decides to ditch for a couple weeks, Viola heads over to his elite boarding school disguised as him and proceeds to fall for his school star soccer player, and soon learns she's not the only one with romantic troubles.
Literally, like, beautiful, great writing. This movie is based off of William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Okay, yeah, Twelfth Night. Which, trust me, when we get to the critic reviews, you will not be able to forget the fact that this movie is loosely based upon Shakespearean IP. Taglines, you have a tall order here, Audrey, and I implore you to take us there.
This is very exciting. I love it when we come to this point and I see multiple bullet points for the taglines. So the first one is, everybody has a secret. Duke wants Olivia, who likes Sebastian, who is really Viola, whose brother is dating Monique, so she hates Olivia, who's with Duke to make Sebastian jealous, who is really Viola, who's crushing on Duke, who thinks she's a guy.
And that's like one of the posters for the movie had all that text written on it, like in like faux spray paint.
Oh, okay.
So that's why that tagline is what it is. It's more like copy that was on the poster. Yeah. And then the other two are more traditional.
Yeah, extremely traditional. The second one is, it's time to settle the score. Because it's a soccer movie, kind of.
Ugh,
and the third one is, if you want to chase your dream, sometimes you gotta break the rules.
Like, couldn't that be any movie that we ever do?
Yeah, that one's really, really, really weak. They're both weak, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
0 out of 10 originality.
It seems like with something called She's the Man, they could have been like, she's the man with the plan, or like, she's got a plan to be a man. I already know that this movie is going to be extremely problematic, so it's like the shit that we're saying is like bad, but not as bad as the movie's going to be.
Yeah, no, like I'm fully ready to go into this and just be like appalled, kind of.
Yeah, same.
Unless they are able to like toe the line in a way that is really inoffensive and just can't, like, silly. Like, as long as they're not making any bold claims, I think it's gonna be fine.
I mean, there's gonna be bold claims.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer. I watched like the first 5 seconds of the trailer, and like the tone of it, I already was like, oh my god, I can't wait to like rip this apart because it's gonna be so brutal. But anyway, so those are the taglines, and now we are entering the cast zone. You know, the selling point of this movie is Amanda Bynes. And if you're listening to the show, you know who Amanda Bynes is. She plays Viola in this movie, which is the lead character. She was known for The Amanda Show, All That, What a Girl Wants, What I Like About You, Hairspray, Sydney White, Easy A. But really, like, became famous based off of her career on Nickelodeon as a child star.
I did see that they recently added What I Like About You to some online streaming platform. I don't remember which one, but I've been seeing a lot of like noise about that, and people being like this show is so good and like nobody's seen it. So I think I'll probably watch it.
When I saw that she was on that show, when I was compiling all of this earlier, it took me like a good minute to even remember what that show was. And I was like, she was a regular on another show? Like, that's super weird to think about, but I guess that is true. Anyways, I also think that based off of these movies that I'm looking at, especially with She's the Man and Sydney White, she definitely would get cast as the Not Like Other Girls girl a lot, which I'm sure we will talk about either in this movie or definitely when we eventually do Sydney White.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting too is like I watched like 30 seconds of the trailer for this too, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is that movie. This is literally the Not Like Other Girls movie. And so is Sydney White. But in Easy A, she's cast as just Mean Girl. She's literally just cast as Mean Girl, and I thought that was really jarring. Like, I remember when I saw her in that role, I was like, oh, but like she's usually the Emma Stone. So this is really weird.
Yeah, and she was like older at that point. So kind of weird that she was playing that role, but we can save that analysis for when we do it because I really want to do it. As the love interest, I am assuming in this movie, we have Channing Tatum as Duke. Channing Tatum is known from 21 Jump Street, Magic Mike, And then my next 2 bullet points are IDK and boy movies I don't fuck with. That is my takeaway. He's in a lot of like war things. And I do a lot of generalizing when I'm ripping through IMDb, so if I'm wrong, please let me know.
I was going to say, like, don't take our reductive notes personally.
I just got to say, there is a new level of accountability for me nowadays. Now that more people are starting to listen, like, if anyone is listening, I feel the need to rectify what I said about Brandy now in Cinderella. I said that her voice isn't good. I was wrong. She doesn't have a bad voice. I think that stylistically it stuck out a lot compared to everyone else. She's very talented. I love her and respect her. Sorry I said anything else. Also, when I was listening back to the Click episode, I said a lot of really mean things in the Click episode too. And I feel like the girls that were in the Click would be like the most likely candidates to actually hear the shit that I said. So please forgive me. And just, you're talking into the void until you're not talking into the void,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you had Channing Tatum. And then we have Laura Ramsey as Olivia. She's in nothing else that I recognized. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Sorry to Laura. And then we have Vinnie Jones as Dinklage. I don't know who Dinklage is, but he was actually a former pro soccer player. He's from the UK, and everything that he's in sounds like the name of a first-person shooter video game. So it's all like Vengeance of the Crypt 4 and shit like that. So thanks, Vinny. And then we have David Cross as Gold. I don't know who Gold is either. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but he's a writer and a producer. He is Amber Tamblin's husband, aka Tibby from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. He was a series regular on Arrested Development, and he was also on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, a show that I am scared to revisit in our current day and age. And he's been in a lot of stuff.
Why?
Because you know how like Tina Fey humor only lasts like 6 months without curdling?
Yeah, it has a really short shelf life, I think.
Yeah. Like I'm just
yeah.
I feel
but certain aspects of it. Not like the thing as a whole, but
yeah, but isn't like a lot of Kimmy Schmidt built on like anti-Asian racism?
Yeah. And I actually just saw I've been seeing TikToks lately about literally that exact issue. Tina Fey and anti-Asian writing, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same in Mean Girls.
I've been thinking, but this did remind me that show even existed, and I was like, damn, that's probably not a good one to look back on. But anyway, he was on that, but I'm really only just bringing that up because I know that everyone listening has seen that show most likely, and he's been in like an unbelievable amount of stuff. He's been booked and blessed for like our entire lifespans, basically. And I don't mean to minimize. I just do not know this man. So that's what I have. And then finally, we have Alexandra Breckenridge as Monique. And she has been in This Is Us, like as a real character. This Is Us, The Walking Dead, American Horror Story, and True Blood. So she's been booked and blessed as well.
That's a really good lineup.
Yeah. But in this movie, she's credited as Alex Breckenridge, not Alexandra Breckenridge. When she got older, she changed it to Alexandra. Audrey, take us through this critic situation here.
A whopping 43% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Actually not too bad.
Pretty high for our normal situation.
Yeah, it's actually not too shabby. And then a 79% audience score. So that's really good, I think.
Yes.
Or roughly on par, but like pretty good. That's encouraging. I think it probably has a lot to do with Amanda's performance.
Yeah,
and like
probably.
The vibe that she gives off. So the critic consensus is this. Shakespeare's wit gets lost in translation with She's the Man's broad slapstick, predictable jokes, and unconvincing plot line. Did they really think that they were channeling Shakespeare's wit with this one? Like,
I mean, I think that that's really what people were expecting, and I would love to read this first review to help accentuate that point. This one reviewer wrote, The high school hijinks may entertain the young, but those more familiar with The Bard will recognize this as a wasted opportunity.
Ew.
Like, The Bard, as if this reviewer is like buddies with Shakespeare. Like, hello? It's just painful. And then this second review, do you want to read this one?
Yeah. So here's the second review.
This one is a positive one.
Okay, good. She's the Man arrives with much ado about something, a seasoned concept and qualified birthright that supports its traditionalism and rests upon its potential.
Okay, you know what? Now that I picked that, this sounds like those TikToks where it's like me sitting in a college lecture and the sound is like, there's a certain duality to the viewpoint in the nuance that we have to look at. So I don't really know what that means.
Piggybacking off of that.
Yeah. I don't really know what this review means, but
if we just look at it through a lens.
There's so much to unpack about the lens through which we analyze the context that this film exists within.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so
they tried.
There was a tomato next to the review, so I was like, okay, this is positive, allegedly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're really giving it some credit there.
Hot gossip from the month that this movie came out. From Entertainment Weekly. I got 3 bullet points here. 45, our former president, not our current president, and his wife Melania welcomed son Barron on March 20th in NYC. So this movie is 3 days older than Barron Trump.
Oh, wow.
So there's
you know
that.
what? Barron was born under a lucky star.
Second piece of gossip. Weezer singer Rivers Cuomo, 35, will marry girlfriend Kyoko Ito in LA after he earns his undergraduate English degree from Harvard this June. To his fiance's relief, Cuomo, a stalwart celibate for 2 years, isn't anymore. We're making faces.
I don't even know what to make of that.
I don't really know what that means, but I do know that Weezer has a history of like being really problematic in its framing of Asian women. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of their music that's creepy towards like Asian women, and like there's a lot of like fetishization in their music, and it's kind of like an archetype of like alt white guy who is specifically into like kind of artsy Asian girls, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is just very Rivers Cuomo of him to be doing, for all this to be packed into one thing. Well, let's not even mention the undergraduate degree in English from Harvard at age 35. That's just a lot.
So the last point, I love this already. Napoleon Dynamite's Lord of the Dance, John Heder, 28, recently broke his ankle while training for the ice skating comedy Blades of Glory, co-starring Will Ferrell. Heder, champ that he is, still managed to start shooting this week. Take that, Michelle Kwan.
People still cared about John Heder. That's how you know that it was 2006.
Yeah, we
care about him personally.
Yes, I care about him to this day. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he is, but I care.
What do you remember about this movie from the last time you watched it? When's the last time you watched it? Both of those things.
I have the vaguest possible memory of watching this movie at my middle school best friend's house at a sleepover.
Who?
Sydney.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that did happen. It was either this movie or Sydney White. But yeah.
And that's the last time you watched it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's been just about as long since I've seen it. I mean, I keep bringing up how I watched the trailer and then stopped because like every single thing that I saw felt extremely new. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't watch this. I should just let myself experience it. But the things I do remember from the movie last time I watched it are the following. Well, really, it's just one thing, which is that Amanda Bynes is not a cute boy. Well, no. Like the transformation is not particularly convincing, I guess.
No. It's kind of another Cinderella story thing.
Yes, exactly. We're just suspending the disbelief. But again, this movie is based off of Shakespeare, aka the Bard, and it's not supposed to be like 100% legit.
Yeah. And that's also, it's kind of interesting because you know how in Shakespeare, like, they would have men play women's roles?
Yes.
You know, we've got a little reversal.
Yes, it's very cheeky of them. This whole thing is
Yeah.
very cheeky endeavor.
Very cheap. That could probably be summed up to that, like, in regards to the Shakespeare reference. It's just cheeky.
It's just cheeky. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of all we have to say.
Yeah.
This was definitely in the stretch of time that was like pre-Amanda Bynes flying off the rails in any sense. So, good Amanda Bynes years. Probably one of the most like defining performances that she's given in a movie, I would say, or most memorable.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna enjoy the movie with that in mind. What's this movie on, Audrey? You said that you knew.
Sadly, it's on everything but for $3. So,
Okay, but at least it's only $3.
yeah. So fire up literally anything and then pay $3.
Okay, get your $3 ready, and we will meet back here shortly. We're back!
We're back!
If you're watching the video version, you can see that our lighting is different, and that's because this movie is long as shit. It's so long. But we made it.
And it feels long.
It's long and it feels long, absolutely. In
Yeah.
fact, it felt so long that I bit my nails, which is something that I am a recovering addict of. So that's how you know that
She relapsed.
I relapsed. I literally relapsed during this. So I'm a little bit salty that that happened, but you know what? We're pushing through anyway. Audrey is playing the role of the gender scholar for this movie. So
I'm gonna try.
So we have predetermined. So I guess we should probably just start with parts that we appreciated. So I think first and foremost, this movie was actually really, really funny in parts. Like, I laughed out loud, and I was watching it alone at several points. Including but not limited to when Viola's cell phone goes off and it's "I'm a Barbie girl," like for no reason. Like, that was really funny. And when they're at the carnival and like her sideburn gets stuck on the little kid's face and then she tells the kid to stay in school, that was funny. And also when one of Channing Tatum's friends is talking about this girl and he says, they're remarking on the fact that this girl just nodded at Viola, and he's like, yeah, she gives good nod.
Yeah, like
regarding.
what?
It's just stupid, but it was funny. So, baseline, I thought it was funny. I thought there were some funny lines. There were a lot of really specific observations I had that I found to be amusing, but I think pretty much, like, the biggest one is just that the way that, Viola acts like a boy is so weird. Like, she just acts like a total weirdo, and it reminds me a lot of how, like, when Audrey, like, when you and I and, like, the cousins.
I know. I had the same thought, actually.
Yeah, like, so we used to have this YouTube channel with our cousins, and we have an episode coming out with our cousins actually really soon on Barbie Princess and the Pauper. You're getting the sneak peek if you're listening. And we used to make YouTube videos that were mostly like music videos to like top 40 songs from like 2009. And one of us would always be in like boy drag and just like having a Southern accent for no reason, or just like being kind of swaggy, but like in a very like misdirected way. Is like exactly how Amanda Bynes acts in this movie. And I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, like that's exactly how I would have played it.
Yeah, right. Right. So, misdirected swagginess is always good. The soundtrack in this movie is amazing too.
Yeah, I literally, while I was watching it, I added it to our playlist because I was like, oh, wow. Like, so it's already there now.
That is what you really should do.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of what I had for parts I appreciated. I have a lot more questions than I do appreciations. So what did you appreciate about it?
So the coach in the very beginning, who's like, everybody knows boys are stronger than girls. He plays Zach and Cody's dad.
He looked really familiar to me and I couldn't place why.
Yeah, and I was just like, yep. I was like, I know who he is. I clocked him and I appreciated him.
Wasn't Zach and Cody's dad like not in that show?
He's in a few episodes.
Wow. Do they have like an absentee dad on that show?
Yeah.
He's a rock star?
Yeah.
My brain did not file that information away, but that's good to know.
I liked Paul as a character, and Paul deserves his flowers, okay?
That's Channing Tatum, right?
No, Paul is the hairdresser.
Oh,
guy.
shit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I had him written down, too. And I have questions about him that we will
me
get
too.
to.
I was like, okay, like, is he
him.
gay? Is he not? I don't know.
Well, that was the whole thing. Like, he clearly... Well, I wrote down blonde tips equals gay.
Yeah, it's like super coded, but
like he didn't
not
he didn't act gay, but like he was.
Yeah.
You could tell by all of the stereotypes they were like enmeshing him in.
Yeah, it's hard when you're watching a movie that is a conglomeration of stereotypes, and then when they like don't go all the way with the character and stereotypes, it's like, what's going on here? Like,
yes, definitely.
I also appreciated Amanda's bizarre accent. I really just appreciated the level to which they are asking you to suspend your disbelief.
Yes. So then moving into parts that are worse now / parts that are worse than or parts that are bad. Okay, I have a list. I think just first and foremost, this movie is so long. I know we already said it, but it's like ruthlessly long. It's like 110 minutes or something. Like, the first half of the movie is like awesome, and then the second half just gets like so sloggy. It's like painful.
Too many montages.
Yeah.
And they decided that they also were going to have like 4 different endings, like similar to Sleepover, where they just had to wrap up every single storyline in its own way.
Yes.
And it was like,
and they also,
it was not
as
necessary.
You said, Audrey, they pulled the bait and switch, and we're watching a sports movie in the end.
Yeah, that was one of my worst things. I put sports movie frowny face.
That's how I felt too. I was like, sports movies start and end for me with switching goals, and that is the absolute most that I will give, unless it's an ice skating movie, and that is its own class. It was sort of like, grown, of course. She's gonna, of course, Amanda Bynes is gonna play on the boys' team, and it's gonna be against her ex-boyfriend, and then she's gonna win. You know that, 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of annoying. I kind of want to know why Channing Tatum talks the way that he does.
I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, there were certain moments where I was really detecting a black scent.
Yeah,
same.
Like,
I don't know what's going on here.
But I wasn't that surprised to hear it though, so that must be a thing that he does, but I don't know anything about him, like, as a person.
Yeah. Me either.
I don't know.
We're not the ones.
We're not the ones. We're not scholars on Channing Tatum. The very first time you see Channing Tatum in the movie, when he's standing in his dorm room and it's like aggressive chiseled pelvic V. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Is this just what you do when you're one of the guys? Like, do you just hang out like full like Abercrombie model? Like, I'm just
I mean,
confused.
that has been portrayed in the media, and I don't know why. Like, I don't
What,
know
that you just
why.
stand around with the pelvic V, just stand just there.
No, like when guys just hang out, like they like don't wear clothes.
I don't think that's true.
I really found myself questioning when I was watching. I'm like crying. I really found myself questioning, what is it that boys do?
Yeah, you know, that they just did a lot of like sitting around in this movie.
Yeah, I was like, do they talk like this? Like, do that? Like, I don't know. Like, for all I know, like, this could be maybe there's some truth to this, but I don't know. Like, imagine, like, in Amanda Bynes' character's case, like, she just has all these, like, straight guys in her life, like, almost coincidentally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just, like, in her, and I'm like, what would that even, like, I just don't have a point of reference for that.
You're like, where's my glittering circle of straight
I'm
masked
like,
male friends?
I just don't get that, but
Yeah, all of my straight male friends are like sad boy musicians, so it doesn't count. I like don't have experience with the genre of
Yeah.
boy in this movie. And you know, they might not exist.
they might not. That's the thing. I was like, I'm so clueless right now. Like, I don't know what this is.
They kind of characterize Channing Tatum as being awkward for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, in what world
Like,
would he be awkward?
hello?
And the other thing that I wrote was that they really, for some reason, decided to set this in high school when it really shouldn't have been set in high school. Like, didn't it feel collegiate
It
to
was
you?
set in high school?
Yes. Yes.
I thought it was college.
No, it feels like college, but it's high school.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I fully thought it was college. Literally, I still thought that now.
No, I think.
When did they say that?
I think it was high school.
I don't know. They didn't say.
Well, it's academy, not university.
Oh yeah, I guess it is high school too, because Amanda Bynes' character referred to going to college in the very beginning.
Yeah.
She was like, I want to go to Carolina or something. Like,
Love it when they bring up wanting to go to some really specific college and then it never comes back up. Like,
yeah. But it
incredible.
did set her age. I think that's the only reason why it was there.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Another,
Go ahead.
another question for the culture. Are kissing booths real?
Another thing that we do not know. I feel like if like weird like antebellum themed balls can exist in the South to this day, then kissing booths
yeah, it must.
can definitely
It
exist.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, this is really weird. This is really, really weird. And that little kid is like, hey, you don't have to be nice to her. You paid for it.
I know. I was like, excuse me. Yeah, it was raunchy.
Sir,
it was raunchy.
You're not allowed
to say the least. Kissing booths.
I really feel like this movie in general, something I felt that it suffered from is like it's got that written by two women, directed by one man vibe.
Yes.
And I was just like, this blend is just not right. Like, it's so imbalanced.
Something about this flavor. It's just not.
Yeah,
quite.
like a sommelier. Like, I was just like,
wait. So
this is
how
not
how would you describe what that flavor is?
well, like what going into the movie, like in the very beginning, it's like jarringly male gazy. You know, like she's like in her bikini top and they're playing soccer on the beach, and then all of a sudden they're like making out, and then she's like super sexualized and stuff. And it's like, what, like that literally did not have to be like that at all.
I had written down, why is the beginning so horny?
Yeah, I was like, whoa. I was like, wait, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
is this for the youths? And I did kind of feel like a bait and switch. I was like, I feel like this like director was like, we need to, because Amanda Bynes is a boy for like the majority of this movie, we have to like make her hot in the very beginning, make them think that they're getting one thing and then like they're not. And it felt like almost more like a marketing move than anything else, because like now they have that footage that they can use, which is so creepy. Like it's just like the creepiest.
Yeah. How old was she in this? Do we
thing.
know? She was 18 during that.
Oh.
I'm still wrapping up my Lolita podcast listen through, so I've heard lots about making underage people do sexy things, air quotes, on film. So it's a thing that happens like literally constantly. I also thought that the psycho ex-girlfriend character was a bit heavy-handed.
Yeah, me too.
It was like the antagonist of the story was the secret that Viola was keeping. There didn't need to be another antagonist, you know. Well, first of all, there were like so many fight scenes in this movie, and they were all like the exact same fight over and over again. It was like always over the same thing. It was always not that fun to watch, but I will say that one thing I thought of is in the scene where it's like Olivia and Amanda Bynes in the bathroom at like the pre-cotillion coming out thing, and she's wearing the white dress, like the tight white dress. I wrote down, I can just hear the costume designer being like, there's buckles on her white dress because she's tough and she's different.
Okay, so for the next category here,
Yes.
do you have anything that you want to say for dated, and how dated is it and how problematic is it?
I think that you should start us off, Professor.
Okay, well, I had like well, I had one-off comment, which is that I was saying to Hannah, like, when we were watching the movie, like, we don't really have the real estate to go over what they've done to Eunice in this movie.
I did write down that she also reminded me of our childhood YouTube video career.
Yeah, I could see that. But you know what? Although she's just portrayed in the most bizarre way, I did at least appreciate that they did not make her over.
Yeah, I was surprised.
They just gave her a man, but they did not make her over.
Yeah, I was expecting her to have like a take off the glasses moment, obviously.
Yeah.
And that never happened, which was interesting.
Yeah. And the friend of Channing Tatum was just like, I have a crush on you. And she was like, same. They were just like together. It was very weird.
She's also just like,
it made no sense.
So I know you said we don't have the real estate, so this is the last thing I'll say, but I just don't understand like the so weird that they feel like a different species type of person. Like, why would you never give her like anything? But whatever.
Last week was justice for Yancey. This week is justice for Eunice.
Yes.
So, okay. Here we go. This is my dissertation.
Yes.
I have several cited sources here. So, first of all, I just want to say that and with most of the movies we cover, I feel like no one source or no one person can say whether or not a piece of media is empowering or if it's not. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, if you found it empowering, then it's empowering. If you found it insulting and bad, then then that's what it is for you. That's just the first thing I want to say.
Empowerment is not a blanket experience.
The man who wrote the New York Times review said that She's the Man reminds us that girls can do anything boys can do unless those girls happen to exist in a romantic comedy, in which case their ultimate ambition is to squeeze into an expensive dress and get it on with a dumb stud. Along the way, however, there will be girl power to the max. So he wrote that when it came out. And if I were in his shoes in 2006, I probably would have said the same thing. If you like think about where we were at that time. And he's giving it like a smidgen of credit. Like he's giving it like a little bit.
Yeah.
But like being a writer for a very liberal publication, like at the time, he couldn't get away with anything else. Like that's all he could say, probably.
Yeah.
And he's on the left side of things. You know what I mean?
What struck me, especially at the beginning when Amanda Bynes, I'm just gonna call her Amanda because I can't handle Viola, whatever.
Yeah.
When she was doing like her makeover montage to get into her boy look, I was like especially when she was like binding her chest, I was like, I feel like this very strongly is and is not trans representation in so many ways. But like if you were like a trans man, like a baby closeted trans man, like seeing a heist like this even attempted to be pulled off would be probably exciting, maybe. I mean, I don't know. But like, I think it's a good example of like, this movie is not, again, if you want to decide that it's like queer, like early 2000s canon, no one's gonna stop you. All I'm trying to say is that this movie could be so much gayer, but it's not, and that's a shame. And I just kept wondering the whole time as I was watching, when will we just get gay teen movies that are gay without being the gay teen movie, like without being like Love, Simon or something like that, or even Euphoria, you know, just like letting it be more of the pie.
I agree. And so of course like people are going to look back at the movies that they watched in their youth and like try to, that's basically what we're doing. Yeah. And basically like try to look for like subliminal messaging almost, like like is it actually gay, is it not, like what's going on. But in the case of this one, it just comes extremely close to being something and I'm just gonna say it, but it comes extremely close to being something that is like almost kind of revolutionary in a way. But it doesn't mean to. It really doesn't mean to. And so it's like you can see that. And if you did see that when you first saw it, then that's totally valid.
And that's all that matters.
Because that's all that you had. Like this is all we had. But it is a shame that is the extent to which it goes. Yes. I did have like one more quote that really relates to what we're talking about. It's from an article called She's the Man, Disseminating Queer into the Mainstream. Our protagonist, Viola, introduces the idea of gender fluidity, suggesting a radical interpretation of sex that has never been seen before in the mainstream. This is captured in the carnival scene where the rapid... I don't know about all this wording, but where the rapid sex changes and code switches literally dizzies the audience. Like Shakespeare's play before it, the film nods to the carnivalesque and uses humor to liberate the audience's thinking to truly establish transgressive gender ambiguity. I was like...
Yeah, okay.
Now... we're seeing a reach.
I mean, also, whoever wrote the article, I'm sure that this movie holds a very, like, precious place in their heart, and I totally respect that. But, like...
me too.
Saying that this... I don't think this is really what they meant to say, but what you just read, what they wrote is, this is the first time that gender bending is in the mainstream, which is absolutely not true. And I do also think that maybe a good like framework for thinking about this movie is that it is kind of an homage to Shakespeare, not only through obviously it being inspired by Twelfth Night, but also just like the fact that it's like playing with gender just for the fun of it and not to be really psychoanalyzed too deeply or looked into too hard, because there just really isn't anything there. Yeah. And also, the other thing is that even if these characters were gay, even if, like, Olivia, for example, who likes Amanda in drag, like,
yeah,
even if she did end up being kind of gay, you wouldn't really care because all of the characters, you don't really give a shit about any of them.
Yeah.
Except for the not gay guy. We care about him.
Paul.
But that's
Paul deserves his flowers, okay?
Also, at the end, we didn't even talk about the end where, like, they make Amanda Bynes and her brother prove that they are their genders by, like, flashing their genitals in front of the entire like soccer stadium full of people. Like, there's just so much to unpack. It's like, it could be a queer fever dream if you decided that it is, but it isn't.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
And we know, obviously, I don't think any of you need to be told this, but we know that, you know, your genitals does not always translate to your own identity. So, of course, you know, in today's standards, them flashing their genitals wouldn't mean anything in regards to that.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's also a situation where they're like, you're a girl. And then he's like, no, I'm not. I'm a guy. And then another guy's like, well, then prove it. And you know what's going to happen. Like, it's...
Yeah.
It's very...
And he's so proud.
I know.
Like,
I know. And then he pulls out his pants and he's just, like, vibing with his dick out in front of the entire soccer stadium.
Like, I mean, that's, as an actor, that's the only way you can play it in that kind of tone.
Yeah.
Because... Yeah, how is he? He's like, I'm uncomfortable. No.
Like, right. Like, that would be fucked up. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, so, you know, he could only play it one way. I'm sure they felt crazy doing it.
Definitely. So anyway, She's the Man. People would like for it to be more complicated than it is, but it's pretty straightforward. But Amanda Bynes is really good in it. She's very funny. She's really, she's doing the most with what she's been given, I would say.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, do we think it's a good movie? I don't think so. I don't really think so.
I said it is worthwhile solely for Amanda being strange in her own individual way.
Yeah. I think part of what makes me not like it that much is, okay, like, boy movies and girl movies aren't a thing as much as being a boy or a girl isn't a thing, but there definitely is a boy movie and a girl movie when it comes to, like, you know, how stuff is marketed. And I just feel like this movie, for being, like, a girl movie, doesn't really give girls much to relate to or enjoy or, like, see themselves in. Like, it's just a really... It is extremely male gazy the entire time. It kind of evolves a little bit as you go, but, like, who is this movie for? I think that is actually the question, is who is this movie for? Because it's not that obvious.
No, and I don't... It's like, if it's not for me, then I don't know who.
If it's not for me, then yeah.
Like, it, meaning because it theoretically was. So, like,
right.
I don't know.
But it was pretty funny. So I guess, like, if you were going to watch some stuff from this canon, I really wouldn't make this my first recommendation. But I think maybe if you were watching it with if you had to watch a movie from this canon with a straight boy, this would be a good choice.
Yeah. Maybe. It depends on the boy.
Yeah. We don't know much about that realm.
You've come to the wrong place.
You're coming to the wrong podcast if you want recommendations of movies to watch with straight boys.
But, you know, I would love to know what you guys think about She's the Man.
Please. If we have any like Amanda Bynes mini scholars out there, please send us maybe your thoughts, your feedback. This was a confusing and rocky path here, but you know, there's a lot to think about with She's the Man.
Such is life.
And we have thought about it. Anyways, so we will be back in a week with another episode.
Keep sending your suggestions if you have any. We've had a running list for basically a year now.
Yes.
And it keeps growing. So let us know your suggestions and we will talk to you next week.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with all our latest creative projects at twopinkpictures.com. If you want to watch our show as well as listen, we're on YouTube too, yay! Search Sleepover Cinema or go to the link tree in our Instagram bio. We're on Instagram and Twitter at twopinkpictures and would love to hear from you there. We're also on TikTok at Sleepover Cinema, and that's really where the party is at.
It's true. And if you like Sleepover Cinema, if it brings back evocative memories of your childhood or your adolescence or maybe even just babysitting in the early 2000s, please share an episode with a few friends. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Rule Hoffman, and theme music is by Josh Perlman Hall. Special thanks to executive producers Michael D'Aloia and David Moss.
We'll chat again soon.